And joining me from Jerusalem is the Deputy Mayor of Jerusalem, Fleur, Hassan, Nahoum. Ma'am, thank you so much. It is a developing situation. Reports are coming in every hour. Ms. Nahoum, could you give us a sense of what is the situation on ground at this moment?
Well, we've spent 3 days in shock and trauma about this surprise attack that nobody saw coming, about the quantity of the injured, of the dead, of the captured, which is completely unprecedented. And so I feel that in the last 24 hours, Israel has kind of gathered its resolve to fight back. We see an incredible amount of mobilization, social mobilization of people in all the different cities to help the soldiers, to help the bereaved, to help the people whose families are missing. And of course, we see now the military retaliation, which of course has had to take a different color because of the 130, we believe, captured hostages in Gaza.
Since you were talking about missing people, of course, there are people looking for their friends and family. Do we have a clear number on missing persons?
Not yet. What we have is that the army has now opened up, they've given the job to somebody specifically, to one of the generals, and they've opened up a hotline and a center for the missing and captured.
Any word on the hostage situation?
Absolutely no word on the hostage situation. Like I said, the army has now opened a whole department to deal with it and to deal with the families. Israel is a very family-oriented society. This will be a huge part of what's going to happen in the next few weeks. How do we save these innocent people, innocent civilians that were captured by these heinous terrorists that is Hamas? And they don't believe in the Geneva Convention or the regular rules of war. They're putting children in cages, they're raping women, they're abusing the elderly. That's what they're doing with our hostages. And so the first priority with this government has to be returning our innocents home.
Benjamin Netanyahu says that Israel will not negotiate with Hamas. Hamas, on the other hand, is saying that they will start shooting hostage if Israel doesn't stop bombing. How will this hostage situation then pan out?
I think that living hostages are too valuable to Hamas to kill. They've also taken a lot of dead bodies. And we all know that they're the masters of deception and lies. So I am hoping, and I don't believe they're going to start executing hostages because they're just too valuable, and essentially what they want is some of their prisoners back. And so I believe that this gives us some time to try and find ways to extract them or even negotiate if we have to.
There are reports coming in that Qatari negotiators or mediators have been roped in for some kind of exchange, in the sense that if hostages can be released in exchange of Palestinian women who are presently in jails in Israel.
Well, look, all the Palestinians in jail in Israel are terrorists. And so that would mean Israel has to release terrorists. But we have a very high value for life here. And I believe we should do anything we need to do in order to get back our innocent citizens.
Including releasing terrorists, as you call them, terrorists.
I can't speak for the government. That's just my opinion. Yes.
Are we heading into a long-drawn war? Because there were reports suggesting that Benjamin Netanyahu had a chat or a conversation with US President Joe Biden, in which he said that Israel has no option but to go inside Gaza.
Look, I don't believe that this is a war that can be fought from the air alone, especially because we have those hostages there. And I do believe this is not, in the last few years, we've gotten used to these short wars with Gaza. This is of a different scale. The devastation that they've caused us is of a different scale. And so this is not going to be a war that is going to last a week. This is going to be a long, protracted war and hopefully lead to the complete dismantlement of the terrorist infrastructure, which is going to be difficult because The Hamas are the long arm of Iran. They are a genocidal regime wanting to put the world back 500 years. And this is what we're dealing with here. Hamas is ISIS, Hamas is Iran, and all of their human rights violations that they've perpetrated over the last so many years that we know. This is what we are going to be, this is what our hostages are going through right now.
So is that the reason why in your recent interview you said that there are big puppet masters involved? Could you really elaborate on it?
Yes, I don't believe it's a coincidence that we were on the road. There's a clear roadmap to making peace with Saudi Arabia, and this is the timing of this attack. So I believe that Iran is behind all of this. They're the big puppet masters, as I said, and Hamas and Hezbollah are two of their puppets. And the reason why this is happening now is because Israel is normalizing with the Arab world. We normalized with a few countries over the last couple of years, and now we were on the road to normalizing with Saudi Arabia, and the biggest losers of that deal are Iran. You have to understand the Middle East, and also to a large extent the world, is divided into these people. We can divide it into the countries that want peace and prosperity for their people and the country that want radicalism and destruction. So the world watching this has to make a choice. Who do you want to be with? The radical countries that want to take us back 500 years where there's no rights for anybody, no women, nobody, or the countries that just want peace and prosperity for their people. Saudi Arabia and Israel are countries in the Middle East that want peace and prosperity for their people. Iran does not want to see us making a deal with Saudi Arabia.
Why do you think, because there are multiple theories about it, why do you think the terror strike took place on a holy day?
Because that's how you surprise the Jewish people the best way possible. We have the horrible, unfortunate precedent of the Yom Kippur War, which ironically we just commemorated 50 years of the Yom Kippur War. And last week in Israel we were all pondering whether this war could actually ever happen again. And here we have it, a surprise attack which has been the worst civilian attack in the history of the state of Israel. The difference between today and the Yom Kippur War is that the Yom Kippur War was combatants against combatants. Today, the Hamas came in with one clear objective, and that was to kill civilians, women, children, the elderly, the disabled. That's what they came in to do. That's a cowardly way of fighting, but this is who they are.
My last question to you, Ms. Nahoum, what is it that the government is doing for its civilians there, its citizens there in Jerusalem? And which are the worst affected cities?
Yes, well, Jerusalem is the most diverse city in the country. We also have the largest Muslim population in the country, in Israel.
Yes, please, we can hear you.
Sorry, I lost the image. And Jerusalem is a city which, for the most part, we live in peace, and we live in coexistence. And so at the moment, what we're trying to do is keep everybody calm. The majority of the Arab community in Jerusalem are peaceful people, but we know that there are some Hamas sleeper cells around East Jerusalem. And so we've enhanced the security around Jerusalem. And so far, we've managed to keep things calm.
All right. Thank you so much for your time. Fleur Hassan, Nahoum, Deputy Mayor of Jerusalem there, giving us all the details and saying that it is Iran behind the a larger conspiracy, and clearly there are big puppet masters involved in what is ongoing there in Israel-Gaza war. That's